Time for our monthly look at the rural real estate market here on the country. Our correspondent, our regular, our expert in the field. That's a nice introduction for Peter Newbold, GM of PGG Wrightson Real Estate. And Peter, what's happening to dairy farm prices? There was a shock horror story earlier this week about dairy farm prices dropping by 30%. I don't believe that, but I know that they're falling.
Yeah, look, I think, I guess that was a big headline, and, maybe some have got to that. But depending on where they are, size, location, all those things we've talked about in the past, it depends. And so, yeah, there's an average in that place. What I will say is, depending whether it's tier 1, 2 or 3, there's definitely been a drop. And that's pretty clear. And I think at the moment we're still in that space where, the vendor and the purchaser are still trying to find common ground. So, but definitely there's been a downward shift, and if we're honest, we've probably seen that taking place over the last 12 or 18 months.
And it's more marked in the South Island rather than the North Island.
Yeah, and I think you're right, and I think that's where a lot of the activity took place at the peak, around 214, and I think often the Deep South sort of starts to realign from a price perspective before the North. So we're just starting to see some signs in Southland where, the parties are meeting, and we're just starting to see a few transactions take place. But of course, they're off that peak of 2014, which everyone refers back to.
So we've got a bit of a Mexican standoff at the moment between buyer and vendor in the dairy scene. What about the likes of the sheep and beef scene and cropping? There seems to be a lot of activity from the cropping farmers at the moment.
Yeah, the other sectors I think are quite steady at the moment. And again, where it's location or good property, they're getting good money. And we're seeing this month, November, is probably the first month for a long time where we've seen suddenly quite a big increase in activity in all those other sectors, and a little bit in dairy, of course. But there's definitely been a good movement in November, and our feeling is we're going to see that come through in December as well. So I think we're going to have two good, strong months leading to Christmas. Like we predicted last year, or coming into the spring, it'll be early. I think that's going to flow through into autumn, and I think we're going to see good activity in all those other sectors.
Is horticulture still going nuts?
Yeah, it's just been a little bit late this season, but there's still interest in it. And I think the other thing that's interesting we're seeing now is some change in land use. So we're seeing, places down the Bay of Plenty, for example, marginal dairy, suddenly being converted to kiwi, or say South Auckland, North Waikato, smaller units of, let's say, cropping or whatever, suddenly needing more capacity and going to somewhere like Matamata for scale and efficiency. So I think that's something we need to look out for over the next couple of years. Is I think we're going to see quite a bit of change in land use, especially in the North Island.
Peter Newbold, let's just finish with our PGG Wrightson Property of the Week, and it's a beauty in the Ashburton, Mid-Canterbury area. David and Hilary Ward are selling it. Now, I know these guys because many years ago they were finalists in the Balanced Farm Environment Awards, and I was the MC. This is a picture-perfect farm. These guys are great farmers.
Oh, yeah, and Jamie, I was fortunate enough on Tuesday to go and visit the farm and meet with them, and they're hell of a nice people, and they've done a wonderful job there, just the way they've sort of developed that farm over the years. It's perfect in every respect. Some of your listeners probably mightn't understand, but, there's not a weed on the property, and when you look at the size of it, 380-odd hectares, it could be arable, it could be fattening a stock, or you could convert it to dairy. The options are all there. It's just one of those, wonderful properties which has been looked after by some great people.
Yeah, and you can look at it on our website, thecountry.co.nz. Click on Rural Properties. Peter Newbold will catch you once more before Christmas as we update an interesting rural property market.
Yeah, and let's hope there's a bit of sunshine, Jamie, over the next couple of weeks.
Well, God help us if we don't get it in December. See you next month.
Okay, cheers.